Hey everyone, this is Osakimi again, another edition of Casual Crypto and Coffee. This is where again, if you are unfamiliar, I take a long look and a casual look at the markets to see what's going on, how I can view this going into the midweek versus my Monday videos that focus on weekly closes. I can see what we've done so far and go from there. The big advantages to this is that I look at more coins usually. A lot of these coins I haven't even looked at for the first time this week. So that's a good thing for you because then you get a more natural feel. This is the Apex edition of this. I am starting a group. I have started a group already called Apex Academy. The signups, we had a wait list for about a month now. We have signups live right now. I'm going to leave a link in the description. And the official launch and start date is December 5th. That's when we get the ball rolling on that. That's when the week 1 modules come out. This is a 12-week course. And if you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description for a previous video explaining everything about it, all the details, the pricing, the signups, where you can look at. I accept both fiat and crypto as part of the course. You do get a discount. That's roughly about 9% discount if you pay in full for the 3 months. And it's only 3 months. This isn't a big paid group that lasts like in perpetual, like 12 months or whatever. I'm not here to, do that kind of stuff. So this is a one and done thing. So you don't feel like you need to subscribe for a whole year. You could even just subscribe for 1 month if you wanted to. I don't think that's as valuable, but that's up to you. This is a 12-week course, and it is designed to help you with 3 trading strategies. It has 4 Aroon bots. It has 3 TradingView scripts that complement those 4 bots, and you will get access to those scripts as well. You'll get 52 hours of content not each week, for the entire course rather. So it's going to be roughly about 4 to 5 hours of content per week of video content, in addition to charts that I go over. I just did an Ethereum one in the group. Even though the group hasn't officially started until December 5th, we've been chatting already with the people we've been chatting with. They're taking advantage of the Ethereum long that was made yesterday, so that's good. People are already benefiting from it before the courses even began. So I want to emphasize that. In addition to that, I'm going to take this entire video, to be more of an Apex edition, where what you see here, this is one of the scripts. This is the Apex indicator script. This is one of 3 scripts, and this script was specifically designed for this course. So this video, and this will be the only video that I do this for, will be showing you the script as I look for things. And I won't necessarily go in detail about how the script works, because that's what the paid members are doing. But you'll get access to this script, and it gives you kind of a taste of what you could expect. We've already got people that are excited. I've already talked. Again, the course hasn't even started yet. It starts December 5th, and I've already had people thanking me for explaining things like risk management and how to use leverage. And we've already put in an ETH long, and we have 2 other positions in there as well. And so we're already doing good. It's a good start. It's going to be a fun time. I'd be glad to have you, but that's your decision, and that's fine. With that also being said, now I'm going to turn into the coffee portion of this, where this is casual crypto and coffee. I I have you guys review coffee for me. I pick out 3 different blends from a catalog blend that I got from Onyx Coffee, which is in Midwest. It's in Arkansas, but it's a really good roastery. It's one of the best that I've ever had personally. And you guys picked for me a blend called Monarch, which was more of a Latin American type of coffee. And right off the bat, I'll probably say that it's my least favorite. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because all these coffees that I'm getting are really good. Like if I was on a stranded island, or if I was in the middle of nowhere and I only had this cup of coffee, I would be very pleased. But thus far, out of all the all the ones that I've had, this was probably my least favorite. It has a nice clean taste. It's kind of in the middle with its complexity. It's not quite complex. Like, I like very complex roast of coffee. This was the darkest roast also that I've had, and I'm not a big fan of dark roasts, so that might be why. But the finish was really sharp. Tastes very chocolatey with, kind of a hint of berries, like a strawberry or a cherry maybe. But I mean, it was good, but it wasn't as good as some of the previous blends. So it is what it is. You're gonna like some better than others, right? That's just how it goes. But stay tuned next week, because each week I'm gonna do a different one. There's 12 of them. There's one that's decaffeinated, so I probably won't include that one. And then there's one that's cold brew, which I don't even do cold brew, so I might not include that either. So this one marks, I believe, the fourth one. So I've got 6 more to go, and then I'll decide. Maybe I'll do a video of the cold brew and just to see how that goes. But not looking forward to that one. But anyway, like, as far as the regular blends and brands, I got 6 more to go. So we got 6 more weeks of this, and it is what it is. So that being said, we can get started. I'll briefly talk about this Apex script for about a minute here. So basically, the mainstream idea is it takes Aroon, it takes the complexity of things. So Apex stands for Aroon Price Action Exponential, and the exponential is really stands for momentum, but Apex was a better acronym. So that's one of the reasons why. And so what this does is it helps you, based off of all 3 of those methods, to help you define your buys and sells. That's where you enter in. And so, like this sell right here, I mean, obviously on the daily, you wouldn't have held since April. You wouldn't have probably held a perp trade from April to November. Maybe you did, I don't know. But this is where your stop would be, this is where your entry would be, and this is your maximum. So that's the general idea of that. So it's designed to give you entry, stop, etc. So if you did something like this, did your short, did your stop, extend it over to here, and if you went to, let's just say you went down to here, so you got a 16R. So that's kind of the, obviously that's easy to know in hindsight, but that's the general idea of how that works. The idea is it helps you determine when to enter based off of all 3 strategies. It helps you determine what the stop should be based off of all 3 strategies. But it also tells you, it helps you study what your own exit strategy would be and how to optimize that based off of your trading personality. So that being said, that's kind of a look on the Apex. I'm going to keep this indicator up while I look at all these coins. And as you can see, we've had a pretty bullish day so far as well. So that kind of plays into that. We had the Powell meeting. It was a very good meeting. If you've known me by now, you'd know my thoughts about the meetings, as I think they are typically non-events. And yeah, like we can look. So let's say this was when the meeting started. So like right here. And as you can see, we went up ever since. We went down though an hour before. So that's the thing, like people sold in anticipation of it, and then they rebought anyway. And you might say like, well, this is a result of the Powell meeting, and it was good news. I don't want to discount that. So that's the thing. Whenever I talk about this, I don't want to discount good news or bad news. Those things play into it. They always will. But what you did see here was you had, again, we had the sell here, buy here, sell. Now we're on a buy right now, so I'm not hiding that from anybody. But we had kind of this range right here. this is depending on how you want to view what that is. Get rid of these little things. Depending on how you want to view this, I mean, this is kind of a janky formation. So if you put it like this, you're still in the middle. So I don't want to, like, if you haven't gotten in yet, you still got plenty of time. We are above 17,000. A lot of people thought we would get to 14,000. You know, and that's just how it is. You know, the market can always be unpredictable. We're only 9% above from the lows, so there's nothing to freak out about. All those numbers are psychological anyway. But I mean, you had kind of a down pressure here. We broke that, and then we were kind of on like this little deviation, like sub deviation. Get rid of that so you can see it better. So that's kind of what we're doing now. If we close above this, this is a good sign that we'll probably go to this range. And again, so one thing I've noticed too is a lot of people do like support and resistance lines. I've found it beneficial to do support and resistance blocks. So, you know, something like this. So you got all these wicks, right? Something like this would play in better because it also would get part of this. Anyway, different story. So this is what I'm looking at here. This buys and holds. I think, you know, and obviously if you have the Apex script, you're probably already in a buy. You probably got in here. So, and I'm not discounting that. We did not take this position, mainly because I didn't post it. And I'm, you know, like I said, the actual Academy doesn't start till December 6th. But this is what it would say. And so right now, this is a very comfortable position for somebody like me because I'm already in, you know. So I can move my stomps, or I can just kind of set alerts, forget about it. If you wanted to get in another way, I would wait for this to close. And, you know, we still got, how much time we got? We got about a little over 4 hours. So let's say it closes up above like right here. I'd put your marker on the other side, probably here actually. Well, actually, maybe here is one, but you're also in danger of this being support. So you could even go down here. And so this is an option. Another thing you want to be considering of is this swing position right here. See if I can zoom in a little bit. So this candle blew through this here and this area here, so that usually it touches back right here. So what that also could look like, however, is it could go something like this and then back down. So don't think that it's just gonna like go down, you know. Always anticipate what it could do. It could do that, it could do this, you know. There's plenty of other things, right? So I would just keep mindful of that, but that's kind of what I see here at the forefront. And a lot of the Bitcoin stuff I covered, you know, on the weekly video. Again, this kind of goes up to the range, but like I said, this creates a swing. So that's another complication. It's going to be one of these things, if you think it is the bottom, and there's a lot of talk about the bottom, and mainly it revolves around two things, like, oh, I got to catch the bottom, or I got to at least not even catch it, just like I need to predict when the bottom is to sound like I'm like the best trader ever. But you really don't need to be the best trader ever. Or that's not what I meant. You don't need to predict the bottom necessarily. Now, that being said, my liquidity script, which this is another script that's going to be in my Apex Academy that you'll have access to, and I'll teach you how to use it. I had a sell up here right at the 60,000 mark. Have our first buy here on the weekly right at, you know, what was it, 16.3? So we're still here. But if you want to do something like this, see if we can go in. And feel free to stop this and take a look at all my signals and stuff, because this is all going to be, I'm going to get rid of all of this next week. So this is the only time that I'm just going to let this be chilling. So I've mentioned this before, and I'll say it again. Like if we're like, let's say we're something like this. Let's say, let's say we're like right in this situation or somewhere in here. So let's say worst case scenario, the pump from this week is like this. You still have that's the wrong one. Probably should just use both. You still have 52 days to figure out what you are doing in the market, and 52 days to figure out what the market is going to do. So, see what I'm saying? So if we, that was a pretty epic buy there, probably. I did not have the script back then. I wish I did. But like, let's say we just jumble up around here, right? And let's take that same 52 mark. I mean, you're going to have to the end of January to figure something out. We're going to get a macro move sometime before then. And your job is not to necessarily buy all in right now or even at the actual bottom, because a bottom can stay a bottom for months. Like, are you comfortable putting 100% of your capital at a bottom that is going to stay stagnant for a month? So that's the thing. Like, so I do it in pieces. Like I do it, I'll DCA once things get below a certain level, which they have. And I've mentioned this plenty of times, 75%. Once we get to, once we got to the 75%, I think it's a great time to start buying in. A lot of things are still bullish long term, in my opinion. Telegram just announced, the CEO just announced they're going to do a decentralized wallet. They're going to integrate blockchain into their system. That's great. Everybody uses Telegram, or most people that use crypto use Telegram. So that's a good thing. You got people like that. You got people like Nike with their NFTs. You got people like major companies like Starbucks going into the polychain market. Like these companies aren't going away. The only people that are going away are people that have already lost their money or interest, or like the boomers that didn't even care anyway. Or, there's a lot of unfortunate people that lost money on FTX that aren't going away either. Like I know people that lost seven figures on FTX. They're not going away. They're staying here. Do you know why? Because they see the opportunity. Even if they don't have any money, they still see the opportunity. And I think you guys should too. I'm certainly not going away. It'll have to take, I don't know what it would take, but as of right now, I'm still in here, doing the same thing I've been doing. So let's take a look at some other ones. But if you look on the daily, we're still kind of in a buy zone or a sell zone on the macro. But again, this is like I've mentioned before. We have this order block here, structure zone, rounded bottom. I've been talking about the rounded bottom. I didn't know it was going to round. I didn't know it was actually going to round out, by the way. So I'm not saying, hey, I always listen to me. No, I didn't know that, obviously, right? So so you got this here. One thing you can also notice is that now we're starting to build a channel, and that's tricky because technically that's a continuation sign. Now, the reason it's tricky is this a continuation on the bullish side or the bearish side? Because we've had a bearish side already. This is the low. This was a higher low. In my opinion, this is bullish. This is a bullish continuation pattern. So what I would look for is something around, let's see, wrong one. Say something around this level. And this is like probably months in the future, maybe, or who knows, it might be next week, but somewhere around where these two sections meet, looking for something like maybe to the 1800 zone or even into the 25. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I think this looks pretty bullish, and I really don't think that bearish sentiment is worth it. Like, a lot of people are bearish because of fear and doubt and uncertainty, and it's not anything, most of it. There's a few really good traders that I believe that are really good traders that do believe that we're going to see Ethereum at 500 and that we're going to see Bitcoin at 4 figures. And I certainly think that's a possibility. This has happened every cycle. People debate this every cycle. How far is it going to go down? But one thing you got to understand is you still got to play the chart. What does the chart say? We have a higher low. Don't short. You probably should buy in. I'm not saying you should, but it's one of these things is most of the bearish reasoning is not based off of reasoning. It's based off of emotion. What if KuCoin goes down? What if everything falls apart? Well, it hasn't. Like, there are things that have fallen apart, and this has been a really crappy year. This has been quite the flush. I don't want to deny that, and I've said this on my weekly video, but it's one of those things. You still have to focus on what the market is telling you. Don't focus on the CPI. Don't focus for the macro. Don't look at the CPI. Don't look at the housing market. DXI is okay. In my personal opinion, I would not look at the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. In my opinion, the reason I talked about this in the thread, I think yesterday. Reason being is an index that is driven by other factors that are not Bitcoin and crypto. Yes, crypto is a risk market. I think everything is a risk market. I think life is a risk market. So it's hard to convince me of that opinion when somebody like me, or I took a big risk to quit my job to go full-time trading, and when I quit my janitor job to work to start my own Web3 agency, I only had $10,000. So I've dealt with risk my entire life. I've traveled the world. I've done all these things. So, like, life to me is a risk. And so I don't necessarily view, working a 9 to 5 is a risk, right? Or like not doing anything or sitting on your couch watching Netflix is a risk to the opportunity that you could make. Every single thing is a risk. Every day that you drive, every day that you work, every day that you go to bed, no matter if it's crypto, no matter if it's not, it's a risk to eat ice cream every day and risk getting diabetes. It's also, a risk to stay super, super fit and miss out on a good, lunch dinner with your family or friends. See what I'm saying? Like, everything is a risk. And I know I'm going way off board on this, but I say that as like, and I mentioned this before, like let's say what's a good one? Like, let's do like Harmony. Like, I'm not a big fan of Harmony. Well, they got their own chain. Let's figure out, let's see, what's a good one? So like Gala, people, actually that looks pretty bad. All these coins look pretty bad right now. Let's do Sands. So Sands a popular coin, right? It's got its own games, etc., etc. The biggest issue with this is that it has attachment to the Ethereum network. So the common theory, right, is that, well, Sand will only go up if Ethereum is healthy. Like, if Ethereum sucks, Sand isn't going to do very good. So, all right, so now if you take that statement, you are dependent on Ethereum to understand how to take a position on Sand, right? And I think most people actually agree with that. I agree with that. I think that's a valid assessment. But then people also do that and say, well, Sand in that way is correlated to Ethereum. In some way, they may not be correlated by price, but they are correlated by like timing and environment structures. So if you keep doing that, which is fine, that's valid. I do that as well. That also means that Ethereum is correlated to Bitcoin. So like if Bitcoin's doing bad, you probably won't enter in on Ethereum or even Sand, right? So like you have all those ties. But then if you tie Bitcoin to S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, so now you're relying on two sets of indexes to influence Bitcoin, to influence Ethereum, to influence Sand. So see, that string gets long. It's like that game Telephone as kids. Like, it just gets too dang long. And I'm not even saying that that's not valid. I personally don't believe that it is, but I know some good traders that say that it is, and so that's just how it is. It's just another trading strategy for that I don't personally understand, and that's okay. The problem is that so like the S&P and the Nasdaq is based off of, it's also, it is based off of Wall Street and things like that, but it's also based off of fundamentals and news, to where the news and fundamentals impacts the S&P and the Nasdaq, which also impacts Bitcoin, which impacts Ethereum, which impacts Sand. So now you've got all these things, and the very top of the line is impacted by news. And guess what? We just try to call out the news about FTX. So whatever your view is on that, the majority of crypto people believe that the news has a favorable bias in approval of Sam and FTX. They don't want to paint him in a bad light, whether he does or he doesn't. The broad majority of people on crypto Twitter believe that he should be painted as a criminal, and he is not. Has maybe gotten one bad mark on entire mainstream media. And look, whatever you think about that is fine. Like that's not part of this video. But what I am saying is, you can't simultaneously believe that the news is inaccurate as far as FTX, but also accurate as far as portraying the news. Because the news will tell you what you want to hear, or they will tell you to be scared of XYZ, so you sell it, and whatever. So like, the broad majority of people I see that use SPX and NASDAQ do so in anticipation of what Bitcoin and other coins will do, but then they don't do anything with it. They just sit on their hands and they just look and look and look at the charts. They don't do anything. So what I'm saying is, and I know I'm venting on this, but you can't simultaneously like the news and also feel like there's a bias. So in my opinion, you could get rid of looking at most of the news. I don't look at any news at all as far as what the markets are going to do. I don't. Zero. I pay attention to some of the Powell things just because a lot of my followers do, and a lot of my mutual friends, followers on Twitter do as well. So it's like, all right, well, what do they mean? And it also helps me understand the market. Like I watched the meeting from today, and it did help me understand a little bit about what is to come. I know I'm in the minority. I'm okay. I don't care that I'm in the minority. I understand it. If you're trading the way that you are, and it works for you, that's great. But if you're not trading well and you're focusing on non-crypto indexes and assets to look at crypto assets, and you're not trading well, you probably should stop, in my opinion. Or at least maybe stop for a week or two and see how that affects your style. Because for me personally, it's all about reducing noise. Get rid of all the news. News to me is noise. It's completely biased. I tried to work for a journalism platform before. Actually, I did work for a journalism platform. It's kind of like an intern-ish thing, and it's terrible. It does have a few pros, but everyone is designed to entice people through clickbaits and everything else, and so they will fib, they will do all this stuff. So I don't listen to any news and noise. If anybody's squawking too much on Twitter, that's just kind of not making much of a sense, I'll mute them or unfollow them or block them even. I usually don't block the people. If I'm following them, I'll mute them for a couple weeks. But whatever, it is what it is. Sometimes it happens, and sometimes I even do that. So it's okay. But reducing the news, reducing the noise, and getting into what the market is actually saying. So it's like, and I've mentioned like very obvious things too, like bearish divergence. Why? Why in the world? Why in the world are we not focusing on bear divs or bullish? Why are we not focusing on RSI divergences? These have been around for decades. Okay, these are time tested. We had the higher high, we had the higher low, divergence. Had the sell confirm on the apex, went down. So if you would have got out of your spot position, that's a 47% move. And then you even had the confirming sell here. So those are obvious to me. Like, and it's not just, oh, you need to be on the charts at the right time. Like, look how long this took. You know, this is like 19, 20 days. I mean, this is looking like the Aroon tower. You know, you might as well just put an eye there or something like that. It's like right there. See, it's like you got the freaking Mordor sitting in front of your face, and it's just something worth looking at. I mean, it's like, this is obvious to me. You get 20 days to look at it, you know, roughly. Now, I know that that's not necessarily valid because it is a daily chart, but it is on the, where is it at? Right here. I think it was here. It is on the 2-day. So, and that's one reason I spotted it. So, got the, you know, Mordor up here with the higher low there. Got the sell to confirm. Had the fake buy, but it canceled out and continues down. So that's kind of what that is. But you had a clear sign right here, like literally from October 20th to November 7th. So yeah, I know that was last year and all that, but you get the idea. Instead of focusing on like, oh, what's the meeting going to be today? Oh, what is the S&P saying? What is NASDAQ saying? What is this saying? What is that saying? And like you jumble up your words and you have like 10 paragraphs of stuff to say and you don't say anything of value. And it doesn't help you trade better. Get rid of all of that and just focus on that. So anyway, I vented a long time for that. And I just see that so much lately right now. I see it so much. And there's a reason why people are not making money right now. It's not because of the crappy market conditions. I mentioned that in a previous video. I think it was my last Crypto and Coffee video. You can still make money on lower time frames. I saw somebody say that you can't, like, who was it? I don't. Anyway, it was like you can't make positions over like 50 Bitcoin right now. I'm like, okay, so what? Like a 50 in, you know, like a 50 Bitcoin position is going to make an impact. Well, okay, that's fine. But what about a 10 Bitcoin? What about a 5 Bitcoin? Like, you can still make money on these things. It's not like, it's not like, oh, I can't put $1 million position. I guess I won't trade now. Like, if it's not profitable for you to trade, that's fine. You should not ever trade if you don't feel like you should. What I'm saying is like, what kind of, imagine the privilege to like not have, like, just to complain about like not being able to put in 7-figure positions, right? I mean, as if like a $50,000 position wouldn't make you money either. It's like, yeah, you're not gonna make a lot of money, but I mean, you will make a lot of money. I mean, you'll still, you know, on a good position. You know, let's say, you know, 50 Bitcoin, that's like what, $1 million or something, roughly. So it's like, what if you only put down like 200,000? You know, you can still, you know, you can still make a good amount of money that way. You can still make, you know, an easy 10 grand on a position. It's like, okay, like 10 grand is not enough for you. Okay, I mean, imagine the type of lifestyle you can get where you are not even concerned about $10,000. You know, so it's just one of those things. Because, I mean, if you have, you know, I'm not discounting that, like how much money people have or whatever. People are in different shapes financially, so that's fine. But if you're making 10,000 a month of one trade, by the way, this isn't like, oh, I traded 100 trades and I only made 10,000. Like, you made 10,000 per one trade, and you only made 10 trades in a year. You've made 120 grand, which is more than the average salary in the United States. That's sufficient living in California, in most places in California, and that is also way higher than what the majority of the world. Like, you're not quite in the 1%, but you're probably in the top 3 to 5%. So imagine that, and that's salary shrinking though. So unfortunately, but I mean, there's people that I know in a different country that make only $500 a month. They make it working, laboring, $500 a month. So just imagine, just how relieving would that be to just be like, well, I can't make $1 million this month, so I'm just not going to trade. You know, okay. I don't know what to say about that. So anyway, I know I vented yet again, but I guess we'll just go through here. I already mentioned Ethereum, got the long going on there. ETH BTC, I did mention this on my Twitter. I had a long, I think I had a long there. I think it was on the 1 hour. I believe so. Yeah. So this was like, you start there, your positioning was here, and that's a very tight stop. So usually when it's a very tight stop, I don't advertise that as well, because I know a lot of people can't, really handle tight stops, but it's going on a 9R right now, and we got that going on. So for Solana, this was just a placeholder. We bounced off of, on the Sunday video, I said we touch here, we bounce up. Still kind of indecisive. Not a big fan overall. I would personally, this is a token. I'd wait for the, what did I do here? Okay. Oh, it's just that crappy. What? Really? Huh. Interesting. So this is a coin where this is the other strategy that I would use. This is another strategy you'll get in Apex. Wait for this to turn blue. That's not the best way to view it, but for a coin like this, we should presume Solana is dead until it tells us otherwise. And the way that it's going to tell me otherwise is if this turns blue. This is just a simple trend line, kind of like a whole average type thing. Turns blue, good to go. Consider longs. Until then, we don't know if this is dead or not, and I don't have time to care about that when there's better coins. So the 4 hour is kind of consolidating up. This isn't super healthy. I'd want it to be, if I was playing price action, I'd wait for it to go above 15. So otherwise, this is shortable in my opinion. This might go up, but this would probably be my take. Top of this here, sorry, and go down to there. But even then, it's not a good R, so I wouldn't probably short it. Again, I have no interest in this. This feels like how coins die. I've seen them die before. So let's see. Binance got the sell coming up. That is confirmed. I think I said on a weekly video that I'm very concerned about, like, the weekly. Yeah, this right here, that we might go back to the $50 range. I got no idea. That seems so dang far-fetched from now. But you never know what can happen, right? So at least another 77% drop. We do get the buy. It's still valid. So we'll see on that. This does not look, from a price action perspective, overly healthy. I would like to see this drop, in my opinion, back to this range. So not really focusing on Binance, actually. I try to stay away from a lot of coins that have a lot of issues with that, like with CZ talking a bunch of stuff, and a lot of it's good, some of it's not, but I just avoid it, you know. So you got that going on. All right, let's go to Atom. I didn't cover Atom. I can see here, again, you got this big structure here. Already had that marked out. Waiting for that to go above. This looks like it might be a deviation. So something like this could be good. Maybe. I mean, again, it's swing trades are really hard right now. I'd really focus on higher time frame trends or scalps, but let's see what the 30 minute has to say. So we've already had a long come in. Yep. Had the retest here, so we're approaching the 3.5. Good. It's still semi-healthy, but a little bit complex. We had kind of like this trend going here. Broke below but deviated above. Usually a good sign that it's going to go up at least one more leg. If we can see on the 4 hour. Yeah, we got, even though we got the buy signal, we do have a RSI bear div starting to go. So this is where like it hasn't quite developed yet. You know, this previous candle is good for maybe a round up, one more round up. But I would probably look at something like this and like up and then down. So that's the thing. So as far as like the apex, a good sign to get out is at a div. So we got that. Dot doesn't look too bad here. Let's see. It doesn't look as good here. Let's see what else we can muster. This isn't too bad. You know, the daily is not the best, but you got kind of like this going on. Goes above there, good sign. This looks a lot like Bitcoin from like 2018. So you got that going on. So that's something to look forward to. AVAX looks not as healthy as Dot. I think Polkadot will do okay next bull run. I think it might do better than AVAX actually. So we'll see about that. But so you go to Matic. Matic is looking pretty healthy as well. So this kind of looks a little bit like what Dot already does, but Matic had already went. So that's a good sign of things potentially to come. But man, this is a choppy one day. I'd like to see us just get out of this here. This is so ugly here because you kind of had like, you can't even define the range because you had a deviation, another one there. So the range is probably more like this. So probably wait on a macro level to go above there. So I think that's pretty much it with that. Let's do a couple of these. FTM has been on a run, but it gets kind of like these big loops, so I'm not quite convinced that this is gonna make it the way that we would expect. I'm kind of already getting the div here, so again, that's the one thing where, and you don't know, this could go up super high, could go down immediately, but the point is the position would have been here. Let's say you had this would have been the current high at the time, right? And then you get a higher high with a either slightly low or double top, however you want to view that. I view that as a low. I'm very strict on these, on the RSI. So you would have got out here. So I would have already got out on this position, and it's 4.3. So do you want to make 4.3? I mean, I've already mentioned like 3 or 4 trades today in this video that would have made you like 20R probably. So do you want to make 20%, or do you want to have a chance to make more with another chance of losing more? So that's up to you. But let's see. Near was one that was talked about before. This one's a little interesting to me. So I'm looking for something specific. No divergences. So it's strange because we don't really have any reasoning. I mean, it can go up, doesn't have to have a reason, but no divergence of any kind. Aroon is healthy, so that's a good sign. It is going above the line, which is also a good sign. Let's see what the 4 hour says. It's interesting that there's no signal though. So this does kind of look similar to what Dot did. So you got that, and see, very little similar, and also similar to Matic. So you might think that Dot and Near could go up. So that's one thing to consider as well. Some of my favorites, I'm a big fan of SNX, and this is a jumbled mess. But I think this will probably accelerate upward. This is looking a little bit Dot-ish before even Dot, so that's a good sign to see. You know, it looks like it's trying to move up, but nothing confirmed just yet. So got to keep that in mind. So another one was Aave. I'm a big fan of Aave, of course. Got to buy coming in. Daily kind of rounding out, and this is troubling because we could still go up to 70, which is good, and then come back down. But so far this looks good. Again, another kind of like channel pressure zone that we've expanded from. Had the deviation, getting the expansion, but now we got kind of like the sub range at 69. So these are generally things where you start to see a more of an accumulation again. And again, you really shouldn't focus on whether it's the bottom or not, but the point is, it's probably more likely a time to buy than it is to sell. So another one I like is Comp. Kind of not getting the strength that I'd like to see here. Would like to get it above. Yeah, because you got all this right here. I just want to see this put in a really good higher position. I mean, I'd probably even... I'm not in a rush to buy something like Comp anyway that's already done like this. So I think Comp will do well next cycle. But I think, honestly, even a wait to like the $50 range or 53 is probably good. So another one. Let's see, where's the other ones? I think OP. Yeah, so we got a good daily signal here, which is good. And I've mentioned this in, I think, my previous video. Again, got the structure starting to break out. Not quite there yet, but it's looking promising. So we'll see how that looks from here. It's one of those things, like, we still need to look at this as like a macro. I guess maybe the 6 hour. Still not really good, but anyway, you got like the low, swing high. So now you have a range. Extend the range. You're still within a range. So play the break of the range, basically. So, I think that might cover most of the basics. Let's do Dogecoin, because Dogecoin's been very interesting, especially on, I think, the 9. Yeah. So like, Dogecoin has been really fun because you get a signal like this, and then it just kind of goes to town. So it's much more of a liquid coin with Elon kind of just being Elon. So that's something to consider as well. So anyway, I think that's probably it for now. I think I covered a lot. I think I rambled a lot, and I guess that's it for this edition of Casual Crypto and Coffee. Let me know what you think. Please like and subscribe if you like it, And thanks for listening if you didn't like it, and I'll see you next time.